Hey guys, Shobit Chugh here. Today I'm going to be talking about the single most important element to your product management job search, your positioning, especially in crafting what we call your unique angle of mastery. The biggest mistake I see candidates make is that they get their resumes ready, they prepare for interviews, they start applying to jobs, and then they get eaten alive. They get no interviews, maybe some interviews, then they get some hope. But even when they get some interviews, they do not get past their competition, which is very well prepared. Now, they might get disillusioned, lose hope, lose out on a dream opportunity, and miss out on just like the things that they could have had. Their angle of mastery is truly the tip of the spear, and it's from where everything else stems from. And if you don't get this right, then you can't get the resume right, the LinkedIn right, the interviews right. All of this is really rested on your ability to convey this angle of mastery and then attract the ideal fit job interviews and convert them into offers. And the way you do that is by having an angle of mastery that is just so clear and irresistible that your hiring managers and recruiters get attracted to it. Now, before you get into the weeds of your resume and your interview prep, you should figure out what your angle or mastery is. Now, for this, you need to go and gather what I call the raw materials. And the raw materials is basically your own work history and understand everything that you did, how you did it, the situations in which you did it, and why it was so unique that few other product managers can do it. Here's the big problem with this though. The curse of being too close to it. When we do something unique, we often assume that everyone else can do it. And because we fail to recognize our own uniqueness in what we did and how we did it, we fall into a fallacy, what I call the self-strength recognition fallacy. The biggest area that I see people falling flat on is that they cannot recognize or articulate their own angle of mastery. And because they cannot, their pitch, their narrative, their stories all appear like any other product manager. It's what we call a me too pitch rather than I am unique, I'm outstanding pitch. And so you get average interest on your resume, average interview results, and in this market of 2024, you might get close to landing the next level role, but you just do not crack it. This sounds so simple, yet it's and so elementary, yet so many people don't do it. So the way you want to do it is that going out there and gathering that intel and really camping out in the story of your own achievements. So you can pump your narrative up on steroids and you want to go and really start putting together these raw materials together. The way you do that is putting together what we call an achievement story matrix. So you want to have all your achievements, the unique skills you exhibited, as well as the situation it addresses and which product management skill you're going to demonstrate through it. Now, these skills could be technical, people-related, domain knowledge, customer centricity, strategic business leadership. There's many different angles. But you got to exhibit all those skills and you need to showcase both that you can fit into what people might consider an awesome product manager and at the same time stand out and show your uniqueness. And you might be like, hey, I've done all this before, Shobit, or this sounds just so elementary. Just show me the shiny tactic that will get me all the success. Stay with me, because this is how you get your angle of mastery to strike like lightning. And once you get all these raw materials and all of this stuff in place, then everything else almost just does the work for itself. The resume is easier to write, the interviews get easier, and the applications just convert into interviews. People want to talk to you. So stay with me and go through this whole exercise because it's an incredibly lucrative one. If you're enjoying this content so far, make sure to hit the like and the subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next video that we put out. Okay, so now that you've gotten all these stories and the impact, now is this where you really need to transition into the next level, because most product managers are just trying to shout, hey, I have so many achievements, I've done so much awesome stuff, hire me. They craft their marketing, resume, etc. all around what they've done. and they stop right there. And that is really a failing approach to getting an angle of mastery, because what you want to do is to show your hiring managers that you can excel in the role that they have and not in the role that you've already held. Very important. You want to show that you can excel in the target role and not the position you've already held. So you have to take your ideal role and think about what stories would someone in this new job or this new role tell. You want to do this research and understand stuff like how strategic do they need to be? What's the biggest organizational problems they need to solve? What's the kind of interactions they should have had with customers? How would they describe the strategy? How would they set up the vision? How have they influenced others? And then you have to be that person right now. You literally have to visualize and act like you're already there. Why? Well, because if you don't do that subconsciously and you don't subconsciously act as that person and believe you are that person already, your imposter syndrome will come in and sabotage your best efforts. I've seen this many times with 500, 600, 800 students in our program, The Intentional Job Search, where we follow a practice called grateful visioning. Our clients are already that person before they apply, before they go into the interview. This eliminates the nerves and translates it into excitement. You know, the kind you get when you're about to embark into something that's fun, exciting, challenging, like you're jumping out of an airplane. I mean, with a parachute, of course. It's something like that. Now, once you are that person, you also need to showcase it to the hiring managers. How do you do that? There's two ways. One, you showcase exactly how you have done it in the past. Second, even if you've not done it exactly in the past, that's still okay. Most people have not done everything that role demands. You still need to both logically and emotionally convince your hiring manager that you can do it. One part is by being that person, what we already talked about, but the other part is very honestly being able to problem solve like that person. See, when I hired someone, now or at Google, I never expected that person to have done exactly that same job before. In fact, if they had and there were no new challenges, I would consider it boring for them. People are always looking for growth. It's a fundamental human need. But I would expect them to have done part of the job and to be able to problem solve the rest. And better yet, I would want them to not just showcase that they can solve the problems, I want them to anticipate what problems they would face in this role and then tell me how they would solve it. If you can showcase that, you're golden. You have to get the hiring manager 100% bought in. And when you do, and I've seen this many times, the hiring manager makes everything else easier for you. They might even coach you in interviews. They might get some easier interviewers in place. They will help you through the process. So you now have the raw materials, you have it organized, and in some sense you have a script for this movie you're about to create, right? Like this movie of why you're an awesome fit for that exact role. But what's really critical for a movie to succeed? Yeah, lots of things, sure, like stars and everything else, big budget, whatever, but two things stand above everything else. The first one's drama, and the second one is anticipation. So let's talk through all of that. Most product managers' angle of mastery is, really boring. It's like, I did X, I achieved Y, hire me, come on. I set the strategy, vision, I built the product, it created $100 million. It's like really boring. What you want is drama. Something like, hey, I entered a situation and our company was about to go under. In fact, we had a Series B to be raised in 6 months and we were no close to the goals we needed to hit to get there. I joined, I diagnosed the situation, realized that in order for us to hit our targets, we needed to create $10 million in additional revenue streams in the next 6 months. And most of the deals just seemed to be stuck. I spoke to these customers, I analyzed the data within 2 weeks, as time was at a premium, and I proposed 3 problems we needed to solve. I then worked with engineering to ensure we could solve them in 3 months, at least in a rough way. I worked with the sales and success team to get a buy-in for the additional revenue. Our team worked day and night. I helped them keep the scope limited, but driving all these different decisions and launch the product in 3.5 months. We got the revenue, and so we were able to save the company and raise that Series B. And then I got promoted to Director of Product Management. The drama, the intensity of the situation, the problems are what make you unique. Don't downplay the problems that were there. Extend them. Raise their importance. Raise the unique work that you did that no one else could have done. That's one, the drama. But here's the deal. The anticipation is even more important. See, most movies do well if they're good, but I think very importantly, if they have a fantastic, mind-blowing trailer. And most trailers have what we call curiosity-driving open loops. You want to have the trailer excite the audience to learn more. We call this your core pitch. Most product managers either drone, like when they're asked, hey, tell me about yourself, they either drone on, or they say almost nothing. They're like, hey, I'm an experienced product manager, excited to be here. Your trailer needs to drive the curiosity. That will make your hiring manager and other interviewers want to learn more about you. These are all parts of your angle of mastery. It's not easy, but if you go through this laborious process of crafting an angle of mastery that hiring managers really, really want, and it's irresistible to them, and it hits that bullseye of that market, then everything else you're going to do will be much easier. Rather than, let me just take the easy way out with my angle of mastery, and then everything else is much more difficult, and it never really works, and you never get the success that you want, because understanding what's a compelling angle of mastery is infinitely more powerful than just putting in the work to try to excel in interviews or polishing resumes. Now, here's one more thing you have to reinforce though, if you want to really quickly and powerfully convert it into an offer. And that one thing is scarcity. You want to showcase that there's just one of you. You're unique, and you do that by standing out and not fitting in. Now, how do you stand out from the crowd rather than fitting in? Watch this next video that showcases you exactly how to stand out rather than fitting in. You want to be one of our next success stories? Make sure you book a call with us. I've left a QR code for you to scan. Go to our apply page, book time with us, and chat about your career and your journey to your dream product management role.